Welcome to the big show, everybody. We got a good crowd, got at least good interaction in the chat room anyway. I don't know if the number of comments I see reflect the amount of people in the room, but even if it doesn't, welcome anyway. Um, we have a very controversial topic to cover today, which is why I brought my failsafe, Mr. Roderick Threats over here. Man, I didn't want to talk out of turn about the Constitution or that Declaration of Independence neither. So I brought on the kingpin himself to break everything down so people can understand some things about what it actually say and it don't say. Instead of the government telling you what to say. So he's going to be our mainstay for information today, just so y'all know. That's why he's here. Okay. But I don't want to hear nothing else from him except that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's my tapeworm tells me what to do.
That's right. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back some good information. Okay. We're gonna just jump right in. Are we allowed to remove the current regime?
Yes.
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 Just depends on the means.
Is there a means that's allowed and not allowed?
Whoa.
That depends on who wins.
Well, I mean, in what context do you mean removing the regime?
And any context that we can.
Okay. Pick
what
one.
context can we remove them?
Legislatively, you can. You can vote them out. You can do a lot of things up and until physical means.
Well, let's don't conflate two things. When you say legislatively, what do you mean? Because when you say legislatively, to me, that means writing laws to write them out.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So that's not voting them out. That's just writing laws to write them out of existence.
Right, because you have the legislative means and the voting means first. Like, so you have the voting, then you have the legislative, then you have the physical.
I got a question. Somebody show me in the Constitution where it says that.
I mean,
does it say it? Or does it say the people have the right to remove them? What does it say?
It actually says we have the duty.
The duty, right?
The duty.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say to vote. It doesn't say any of that. We can remove them.
Now, are you talking about the Declaration or the Constitution?
Right.
Yeah.
Don't confuse the two.
They're two different ones now, and one has a very robust way of saying you can get rid of them, and that would be the Declaration. I'm not sure that the Constitution necessarily says. I know it probably says something close to it, but I don't think it ever gives any instruction of how to remove. I think, okay, so here's my viewpoint, and I'm the dummy, okay? Consider me the dummy. I see the Declaration of Independence as the reasoning and the Constitution as the means. Am I wrong?
That was
when the Declaration says when a body of government becomes antithetical to what they're supposed to be about, you have the right to remove them.
Correct.
Then it falls to the Constitution to show the manner in which you can remove them. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So, my understanding of the Constitution was that's good. My understanding of the Constitution was here's a document telling the government what they cannot encroach.
Yeah. The Constitution,
right?
Yeah. The original purpose of the Constitution was to limit the federal government and what they could do,
right?
What we were allowed to do.
And the Declaration tells us what
when they don't do what to do them. Yeah.
Right. The Declaration basically is a declaration of our natural right to autonomy, our natural right to self-preservation. That's what the Declaration of Independence does. It protects that natural right to do so. So when you declared that and said, hey, you're not infringing upon us no more, we're going to stay away from the king. We're getting away from the king, right? That's basically the purpose. And without getting into the complete nuance of the Declaration of Independence, you look at it from that standpoint, then you look at the Constitution, the framework of it to protect the rest of the natural rights that you do have given to you by the Creator, whomever you call he or she or whatever, right? Those are bestowed upon you regardless by being a virtually living man on the land, right? In this under this jurisdiction. So
I think a lot of this argument can be summed up in the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. Wow, tongue twisted that one. When in course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them. with one another, and assume among powers of the earth and separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and the laws of the natural God entitle them, a decent respect of the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
Yes.
Now watch this. Now let's break down that paragraph real quick. Right, you said something very profound in that first sentence. Read that again. Read that first sentence again.
When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which connect them with one another.
Stop right there. That's the connection, right? It's the Democrat Republican that is creating this paradigm that we're looking at that's causing the corruption, that's causing the oppression upon all the United States nationals, right? So it is up to us when we talk about national divorce now. It's not from blue states, red states. It's from the political parties. Because remember, the founders specifically warned against having political parties.
Yep.
Right. And then look what we did. Political parties
did exactly that.
Right. And then they infiltrated themselves in the government. Now it's become, I mean, we can call it what it is. It's an authoritarian / statist type government.
Yeah.
So we have the right. We need to tell the political party.
So here's a question. Then. Here's a question then in regards to that, because certain political these parties uphold certain value perspectives. So, like for instance, Republicanism, when it first started, was an anti-slavery party, an equal human rights type party with a philosophy that regards all men are created equal with these inalienable rights. And Democrats, well, we obviously know what they were, but so how do we still uphold and espouse the values of these parties and yet still have that divorce? Because it's always going to be one of those things where it's like, I'm a Republican, but
you can't do both, right? You can't do both. So you do, like, and I can use Florida as an example, right? Majority of your home rule municipalities in Florida, on the local level, even the county level, are nonpartisan. Political parties are not even involved at that rate. That's where we start, because again, right, we have to remember these people we elect into office that represent us are supposed to represent the people, not a political party's agenda. And that's the problem. You take the partisanship out of it, then they have to come to you as the voter to say, hey, this is what I stand on. Hey, this is what I stand on. Because right now, under the current political troposphere, right? When was the last time you heard from your representative when they were running for office? Out of the five of you? Never, right?
No,
that's my point. Because they put their message on TV or on the Facebook or on the TikTok or whatever, hoping you see the message. Oh, that's my representative. No, I want a conversation with you. Because I need to find out where you stand on certain issues, right? And for me, usually, right, I'm just using me as an example. My stance is, what is your stance on the 14th Amendment? What's your stance on the 17th Amendment? Right? What's your stance on the 16th? Those are the three things for me. And depending on how they answer, they might get my vote. Because any quote unquote someone posing to be a conservative or a libertarian understands those three particular amendments of the Constitution literally usurps every bit of liberty you have to be involved in government. Every bit of it. And if they say, well, we don't want to get rid of that, that right there tells me I don't need you because you're not an advocate for liberty. Yeah. That's it.
I agree with your sentiment on that.
I have a theory about the United States as it currently stands. And y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but this is just from my observation, that the United States is no longer a republic.
I agree.
I'll tell you where we're at.
I think we are more akin to socialism than we have ever been. And I think that started with the implementation of the way DC is currently. And then people keep saying, well, there's only social programs like Social Security and these government funded but here's the thing, every year you see a brand new government subsidized, funded, or owned entity just pop up. And now they're talking about running stores as the government should, and how they already took over the media, which in and of itself should tell you a whole lot, right? I'm just saying.
Did you hear this week?
I don't think
About
we're a
the-
republic anymore.
Did you hear about the internet thing this week?
Mhm.
Yeah, the new
the
internet
vote was today. Yeah, the vote was
Yeah.
today on that.
the new
Yes.
internet censorship law.
Yeah,
Well, it's
they're
not a
trying to-
law. Well,
No, they're trying to control
not make
all
a
of it.
mistake. Let's not make a mistake. It's not a law. It's a rule.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This is where again, right, we're talking about. And then the next topic you're going to get into, we're going to get into that piece. So I won't blow that out the water yet. Right. But right. Going back to what you're talking about, Brother Marlon, right? When we're talking about, we have these people say we have these social programs, this, that, and the third, right? What other type of entity do you know that has such programs? Right? Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Corporation, right? A corporation has welfare in a sense, or human resources, right? Look at this. It's human resources, right? Oh, we got to appease these people because of this, that, and the third, right? Whatever grievance, right? Now watch this. When y'all have a tablet or computer in front of you, I want to show y'all something. I'm going to show you what they did in statute. They're telling you what they're doing in statute, right? Someone's got a tablet.
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead.
All right. Look up Title 28. I'm sorry, Title 28, Section 3002, Paragraph 15A.
Okay.
They're going to tell you what they did.
28. Do you have it, Coy?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Title
I've got
28,
the
got
declaration up.
Section 3002, 15A. What is it?
A federal corporation.
What's a federal
The
corporation?
United States means a federal corporation.
Keep going. What else?
B, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States, or an instrumentality of the United States. Yes.
So watch this. They've told you that they are a corporation by statute, right? This is what they do. And then they said all the other agencies within the executive branch is its own corporation. This is why the IRS is private, right? IRS is a private entity within the federal corporation, right? Now, the federal government can participate in non-profit organizations like you said. See what they did?
So you're telling me that they have officially found a way to maximize socialism and communism under the umbrella of democracy.
Yeah.
Under that statute, just under that statute alone.
That's what they've done.
That's what they've done.
So they've made socialism palpable.
Yeah. I also want to add on to this. We're also
We're
also in the Praetorian Guard era of the Roman Empire, right?
Yes.
Is when the Praetorian Guard was in charge who got to be emperor. That's where we're at. Like you see Joe Biden, and nobody literally thinks this guy is running the show. Not a single person thinks this dude is running the country. His aides and his chief of staff and whoever else is propping this dude up, like Weekend at Bernie's, is running the show. So the Praetorian Guard, the deep state, or as you'd like to say, the intelligence agencies, are the one deciding who gets to be the next emperor of the United States.
Right. Or who's the next CEO of the corporation.
Exactly.
But like we said earlier, it's time to break ties. And,
Okay. So now we're onto the meats, the potatoes, and a couple of the string beans as well. Okay. Since Thanksgiving is coming up, we're going to the dark meat right away. Okay. So if we are to revert ourselves back to the original concept of the United States, I'm talking about 1770, 74, 75, 76, 77. We are going to have to dismantle what has infiltrated the original system, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to dismantle that, we have to have somewhat of the same constitution that Washington had crossing the Delaware. We're going to have to sacrifice some toes, some feet in the cold, the Delta, right? So do we have enough people, you think, of that mindset to do it? Now, I'm not saying YouTube, listen to me. I am not saying we're about to grab muskets and walk across any glacier to shoot nobody. YouTube, I'm not saying that. YouTube,
that would actually be pretty funny though.
Okay, YouTube,
Funny.
Literal
Okay.
muskets.
Anyway, I'm just saying the mindset, YouTube mindset, because we don't have muskets, obviously, duh, and we have better shoes now, so we're not gonna be like them.
I had a boating accident. I don't know what you're talking about.
So what means can we logically, lawfully do? When I mean lawfully, I don't mean corporate law. I mean constitutional law. Yeah. What can we do? What methods are we supposed to implement to get this back on track? As the people, forget the people we voted for, because they're trash human beings anyway. No one cares about them. Like half of Congress and the Senate, if they died tomorrow, it'd be a party for me. I'm gonna say that out loud. If any of you in the Senate or Congress, if 90% of you are wiped off the face of the planet tomorrow in some freak accident, I'd be partying. Because y'all been killing me. Y'all been killing me for years now, and y'all ain't gotten half of the uppins that's been coming to you. So if that happened tomorrow,
Marlon, I think the moral argument for most people is easy when you put it in the right perspective. So, like, in order to appeal to the lefties that agree with us in the populist ideas, it's how many more sons and daughters do we need to send to war? And how many more people need to die for them to realize that they're taking your money and stealing it from you and giving it to everybody else except you? Like, they're all these magical programs that you want, you know, Medicare for all and all these freebies that you want to give to people will never happen because we're too busy bombing children. It's a
I don't think, me personally, I don't think anything should be free.
No.
I'm talking about getting people on your side. Right, we're talking about the moral equivalency here. It's like we're saying the moral argument is this: the government is so corrupt that even if you wanted to institutionalize your utopian policies, it'll never happen because the government is too necrotic in order to get to that point.
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest issue with a lot of citizens is fear. Right. You know, the government's always showing us in many, many ways how powerful they really are, what they can actually do to the average citizen. Look at our justice system. You have people out here that are thrown in jail for very minor things. But when one of these bigwigs up here does something 10 times worse, nothing happens. This is the government telling you, this is what we can do to you. So if you ever try to revolt, look at Jan 6. I mean, that's right there in front of your face. You know what I mean? Look what they did to all those citizens for exercising a right. It was a right. It wasn't violent. Yeah, some parts, but it was their right. And what they do to strike fear into citizens from doing anything else like this, they gave these guys 20, 30 years in prison. They had them locked up for a year or two before they even got a trial. So a lot of citizens are scared of what's going to happen to their livelihood.
Well, look here. Let me add to that, brother. We've seen this historically in the United States, right? Now, if we go back and just go back to the story. Those of you that may not agree with the Black Panthers, right? But look at what the government did to Freddie Hampton. He stood up against the government, right? And what they do? They broke into his house, shot him and his boy in the back of their head, and then lied and said they picked up a gun, right? Yeah. Is that not what they did? Yep. They lied to us about that because they stood up against what the government was doing. The same thing with the FBI with Malcolm X. When you stand up for the right thing and you tell the truth about the bureaucracy, about the regulatory state, about the administrative state, they're coming for you. Right. The same thing with the people in Philadelphia, 1984, the MOVE movement, when the federal government dropped a bomb on United States citizens because they stood up against the government. Right. So this is the fear they've been showing us the whole time through history. But people they turned a blind eye to it. Right. Because of this. Even the lefty group, Weather Underground. Remember when they bombed the Senate building?
Yep.
And what they do to the Weather Underground? And here's the distinct difference. What they do to Weather Underground?
They pardoned
nothing.
Them.
They pardoned them. Yeah, they pardoned them. But somebody like us that speaks out against the government in every way, they will do everything they can to shut you up down to putting a bullet in your head.
And lie about it. And that's a good point. I mean, look what happened recently under Joe Biden. Remember, he got up there on his podium and he talked about we have F-16s or something, and something like that.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
you're gonna.
Yeah.
He said your arms aren't going to do anything against us because we have F-16s.
That's right. So he's telling you to your face, if you try to pick up arms and revolt against us, we control the military. We control the arms. So
Correct.
to people are scared. That's the problem. They didn't have that fear there of what the government's going to do to them. They half them people, 90% of them people in Congress would be gone.
Mm-hmm.
I say we just go Braveheart.
Yes, that would be the or the Patriot.
Exactly.
Looking at the code for advocating for overthrowing of the government, this is what they say you can and can't. No, this is just the codes, okay? Whoever knowingly or willfully advocates, abets, advises, or teaches the duty, necessity, desirability, or proprietary of the overthrowing of the government of the United States or the government of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof of the government, or any political subdivision therein, by force or violence, or by the assassination of any officer of any such government, or whoever with the intent to cause the overthrow or destruction of the such government, prints, publishes, edits, issues, circulates, sells, distributes, or publicly displays any written or printed matter advocating, advising, or teaching the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing and destroying any U.S. government and citizen. And they go on and tell you, or if you organize, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both, and shall be ineligible for employment by United States or any department or any agency thereof for for 5 years next following his conviction. If two or more persons conspire to commit any offense named in this section, each shall be fined under this title and imprisoned not more than 20 years or both, and shall be ineligible for employment, blah, 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 blah.
When was this written?
This is original, right? Right, Roger?
Well, when was that US code?
So what you're reading there is the expansion of what's called the Enforcement Acts of 1870 and 1871, right? So they just basically expanded that to a point where it's like, okay, if you try to do this, that, and the third, right? Basically outlining an insurrection, what an insurrection is, right? And you can also reference that through, I think it was the Insurrection Act of 1807, if I remember correctly, 1807. All that's an expansion of all that in enforcement acts and things of that nature.
So in essence, what they've done, again, I'm the dummy. I will gladly claim being stupid on this one. What they essentially did was negate the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it is. Because the second paragraph, first part of the second paragraph, is very important to what you just brought up. We hold these truths self-evident, that all men are created equal, and these are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. That among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, derived from their powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to those ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it.
There you go.
To institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such a form as to them shall see most likely the effective safety and happiness.
Right.
So if I'm hearing that correctly, if the federal government has gotten so bureaucratic and so overtly bloated like it is now, and it's getting in the way of the pursuit of my own happiness, and my own happiness is dictated by the life that I live and the liberty and freedoms that I have afforded to me under the Constitution of the United States of America. If this bloated federal government gets in the way, it is my duty, I guess you could say, to get rid of it.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Here's the argument you have to make in this. It's sort of understanding what you're saying. It's like they say you're trying to overthrow the government whenever you try to remove an officer of the state, right? But that's not what most people are advocating for. What they're advocating for is for the United States in and of itself to stay intact. What it's calling for is the removal of corruption within the state. That is the difference. Overthrowing is what the left likes to do when they say we need to demolish the Constitution and get rid of the United States entirely. We, however, want to go back to the original ideals of the country and follow the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, that we have the right to pursue happiness, and the government is destructive to those ends. The corruption within our government is causing that destruction, and it is our right and duty to remove that corruption.
Would you say we've only seen about 15 years worth of this, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence enacted within the American soil?
Yeah.
Only
At
15
most,
years?
At most. Where in its purest form, we've probably only seen 15 years of it from its conception to where it got really mucked up. Say about 15 years.
I would have to say I have to say a lot longer than that. But I'll let other people answer before I give my answer on that.
I can give you for sure when the United States stopped being a constitutional republic is when JFK got shot and nothing happened. Is when the necrosis in the government, the intelligence agencies got so emboldened they were allowed to assassinate a duly elected president of the United States, a representative of the people, and nothing happened.
I believe that it happened the minute we went from the gold standard and let the Federal Reserve start controlling our money.
Not too.
I believe because we handed it over. Now back to the point about overthrowing elected officials, whatever. Or will we be overthrowing? Say Americans decided to do it tomorrow. Would we be overthrowing the government under the republic or the corporation? Which one?
The corporation.
The corporation.
The corporation. So with them being under a corporation, are they legitimate? Based off the Constitution. Would they be legitimate?
No, they're not legitimate.
They wouldn't be legitimate because we are a republic.
So in other words, they can't bring us under treasonous.
Yeah.
So technically,
if the bureaucratic state is running the government, then it is not the will of the people that is being followed. It is the select handful of people in Washington, legitimately in these departments, running the United States policy, which means it is not a constitutional republic. They're the ones that have already overthrown the government.
Correct.
Yes.
So
now
we'll be cleaning house.
Right.
Yeah. Now another question, and we've had this before with MLJ on here. If they don't fall under the republic, the Constitution under the republic, which Constitution are they falling under? Because I've said before on this show that DC has their own Constitution. They abide by their own rules. It may mirror the Constitution a little bit, but do they follow the Constitution under the republic, or do they follow the Constitution? Because they are saying the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. Which Constitution are they following?
It's a mixture of whatever they think it is in their head and their interpretation and how it's actually originalists interpreted. Yeah, that's the delineation, right? Now I want to go back to what Brother Marlon was talking about here real quick, right? About how much time we operate under the Republic, right? Watch this: 1789 to 1868 was when the Republic was true in itself, right? Now, why do I say that? 1789 is when the United States became a country. That's when the Constitution was ratified, right? That's when we officially became the United States.
Right.
Okay. 1868 was the ratification of the 14th Amendment, right? Now, the significance of the 14th Amendment is the fact that it brought all people that lived on the land under the jurisdiction of the United States government, right? Because remember, before the 14th Amendment, you were citizens of your states only, not citizens of the United States. The 14th Amendment says we're all citizens, right? So there's a subjugation. So now you have been brought in as employees before the corporation was created in 1871, right? Because they knew outright if they had all this ingenuity out here, right? That they just so-called released from captivity, from subjugation, right? Oh, no, we can't have that. So we got to cash in on this. They brought everybody under the subjugation of the United States, and that wasn't the intent. That destroyed the Republic.
Okay.
In itself.
Okay.
It was originally a confederation of states, and then into a republic of states.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now,
right.
Hear me out.
And then busted out. Yep.
You mentioned Coy, the JFK thing. Okay. I want to go back even further to Lincoln. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I do not think that you would have a need for the 14th had Lincoln lived.
Would you have the 14th? You're asking if we would have had the 14th?
I don't think we would have had that particular thing put in place had Lincoln lived.
Well,
here's why I say that.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Lincoln would have gone back because this was his MO. If you want to look back at how he operated, his MO was to abide by the Declaration.
Right.
Okay. Now, if he abided by the Declaration, just by proxy alone and that statement alone, everyone wouldn't need another amendment to anything for it to be true. So you wouldn't need the 14th.
Right.
The 14th, though, was a good fishing lure.
Yes.
Just like the Patriot Act was a nice fishing lure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me add to that, though, right? People also remember, right? And there's probably people in the comments talking about, well, why would we want to even get rid of the 14th Amendment? Because that's probably what they're thinking. Well, what are we the 14th? Well, here's the thing, right? Remember, the 14th Amendment did not give the newly freed men citizenship. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 gave them citizenship in the states that they were living in. Remember, this is pre-17th Amendment, right? Pre-14th Amendment. You are citizens of your states.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So when they wrote the Civil Rights Act of 1866, it gave them state status, citizen status to the freed men. They didn't need to be under the United States jurisdiction.
Nope.
Right?
That's right. And you always get people out there say United States of America, United States of America. And go back to the point is that the United States was never technically meant to be united, like you guys are saying. Each individual state was a separate entity, almost like Africa. Think of it that way. Each state is supposed to be their own country. They all, as a collective, abide by the Constitution, but each state can create laws separate. And it happens today. If we're the United States, how come when I drive from Texas and I come to Arizona, there's different laws? That's not that, they're still separate entities.
Correct.
So get this whole United States of America thing out your head. The only time the United States was supposed to be combined is at a time of war. During a time of war, we became one republic. Outside of war, each state, this is why each state has their own flag, has their own constitution. Every state you go to, it's different. If we go back to that, and then each state can decide on whatever taxes, which I don't believe in, but all types of laws, and they can create their own rules.
There's another amendment we're forgetting about with this too, and that is when they changed senators from state representatives to elected representatives.
Yeah, the 17th. Right, 17th.
Exactly. So we went from being the senators were representatives of their state to the federal
legislature.
Government. Exactly. They were representatives of the state. The Congress was a representative of the people. That's the difference that people don't understand. So why do we need the Senate and Congress? It's because they were two separate things to begin with. It's not until recently that they were now representatives that are elected through a general election. They used to be elected from the state legislature. Right.
So that's going back, and what he's talking about is the Sherman Compromise, right? When they were creating the founding, they said there needed to be a representation not only of the people but of the states, right? So that's how they came up with the Senate. The Senate was supposed to be appointed by your state legislatures to represent the state legislatures, and the House was for the people, as Mr. Boyd was saying. But then when they ratified the 17th Amendment, it made the states useless, which also, and I see the question up there, right? The 10th Amendment, it made the 10th Amendment watered down because the states don't have power. It's the people having power in both chambers of Congress, which is not supposed to happen. So the states don't have a voice.
Yeah, and this is my point I'm bringing up next, is the in our lexicon, we changed the way that we referred to the United States, right? There was another way we used to refer to the U.S. Do you know what that was?
What was the question?
What did we used to refer to the United States as?
In what context?
These United States.
Oh, these. Okay, yeah. Okay,
we weren't using a singular. Singular means federal, right? We're talking the United States, one body. These United States, meaning plural, is all. Exactly. The states were one thing. The Senate was representative of states' interests in the federal government to make sure their states were represented. Congress has reps who represent their constituent people. That is how the delineation of powers was supposed to be, but has now been completely jumbled together into being one central authority.
I also think there needs to be term limits. If there's term limits on the top guy, there's got to be term limits for these old yokels who have been doing the same job for 30 years and they look like they're ready to pass out on the floor and they need like walkers and canes and shit. Like, you know,
and they're not even representing the voice of the people.
Right.
No, that's the crazy part.
Right. So if I may, let me add to Brother Coy's point a minute, right? So now when I want people to go back now and read the Constitution. Brother Coy hit on something, right? When you look at the Constitution, when it talks about state, right, you have little s and big S, right? Yeah. Right? When you read it, right? So when you go back and read the Constitution, remember the capital letter state specifically means a state government or entity, right? The little s means your political subdivision as AKA a city or a county. So now, right, go back and read the Constitution with that definition of the big S, little s for state, and it puts things in a more clear perspective on what their intent was. Because you'll look through all the Constitution, you'll see state little s more than you will big S for a reason, because they wanted to denote the states in a certain way, because the states were also of the people, little s state.
Yep.
So what we're looking at then is not so much a achievable end. Here's why I say that. At least by law. Let me put that caveat. By the current iteration of American.
What?
There's that Obama.
Marlon went to Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, and especially when it comes to the Constitution, how the country's ran. I mean, if you break it all the way down to like birth certificates and social security cards, you know, all that's tied to your state. You know, capital letters, lowercase letters. If everybody would go in there and pull out a bill, electric bill, your name is in all
He's
caps.
back.
There's a reason why it's all in all caps, and we won't go into it on this episode, but look at the reason why it's all in caps. Same with your social security card. Look at your social security card. Every letter in your name is in all caps. There's a reason. Do some research. Come back to us.
So before I was so rudely interrupted.
That was your Wi-Fi, bud.
During internet.
Yeah,
right. Obama.
No, I don't think it's internet on this one. There's something else going on. I'll have to figure it out. I'm in an old house, 1921, and so power is a big issue here. So I think when I lose a little bit of things will go accordingly. So as I was saying, so we are currently at a stalemate when it comes to what we can and can't do to replace the current way of doing things, because they've masterfully put things in place over us, whether we like it or not, to keep us from doing certain things by their definition of the word legally. Okay. So here is my breakdown of what I think we can do legally that will help us to do what needs to be done, period. I think our very first thing is not elections, because that's proven that they already have their hands in that, and it doesn't matter what you really do for that. I really don't think that's going to work, because they have ways of subverting that. Admit it. You have to admit that much. Right and left have a way of subverting what they want. Let's just be honest about that.
We have to get rid of the political parties.
You have to get rid of what's going on right now, but you can't do it because they've put certain things to keep them in power. It, like I said, it's socialism, right? This is Marxism at its best. So when people say, have you ever seen a system of socialism and Marxism that works? I say, yeah, America. I mean, I don't think I'm wrong there. So I think the only option we really have is this, and this cannot be done by everyone. This has to be a very select few. We have to go to the exact same mindset, and I've said it before, of the ones that defied the crown. And the ones that defied the crown went in it knowing that if they didn't succeed, something would happen to them, right? Am I wrong? If they didn't succeed in what they were going to do, the whole of the America project would be erased. If we didn't win, we'd been done. But it wasn't every American fighting, it was a certain few. And I think that is what has to take place here. A select few with the mindset that it's all or nothing. That's the only way we can undo what's going on now. And while under their law, that corporate law, it would be against what they want, it would not be against the Constitution or against the Declaration of Independence, which are the two founding ways that we have to go. Now, if you want to go back to a purist view of the Americas, go back to the Declaration of Independence, and you can do exactly what it says legally by the institution itself and not be worried about the current iteration of the government, which is the corporation now. Who's going to do it?
No idea.
Anyone's guess.
No.
Which is why I don't think it'll happen.
I'll try to advocate for the non-revolutionary approach.
Listen, I say we stop paying taxes for like a month, just 1 month, and you just pay off a bunch of seals. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying.
No, the first thing we need to do is antitrust and lawsuits against the political parties. We have to break up the Republicans and Democrats. Their stranglehold on the election process is what's really breaking the system right now. Like, if we think of it like this, like you have two parties that get to say the rules of who gets to stand in front of the American people and are voted for. That needs to go away. It needs, like, the government is supposed to be a nonpartisan entity where it has a mixture of everybody being representative, right? So we have to get rid of those and make things more neutral in the election system, and then also money and all the other stuff that we talk about with lobbying and what.
Right.
I mean, and we've said it on this show a couple months back. We've talked about it has to start at the local level and the individuals. It's the individual Americans' fault that a lot of this stuff is going on, whether we want to believe it or not, because we accept it. We vote for it. You know, you get us screaming and shouting about term limits and get these people in two-party systems. But what do we do when we go? We vote for the two-party system.
Yeah,
we shun away. Yeah. We shun away the independent guy who's not a party line guy, like a Ron Paul or whatever, Bernie Sanders. But I'm just using an example, like a Ron Paul, money. You know, and he runs, and nobody wants him because they always go to the party. So we're consistently and constantly keeping these people that we despise.
Yeah,
we're keeping them in place. We're keeping them in office, knowing that they're not going to do right by the American people. But since most Americans are, you know, they're party line people, and they always vote party no matter what, red or dead or blue or whatever.
So what you do is then you just get rid of that letter after that person's name. That's it. Who are you? What do you stand? Yeah, right. What do you stand for? And that's it. And just, you know, I'll go off of that. I don't care about Republican, Democrat, and I don't care about it. I don't even want to see that by your name. I just want to know who you are as a person. If I like you, I'm going to vote for you. If I don't, then you're not going to get my vote.
Here's a couple of things we can do. We need to do choice ranked voting for one, right? So that it doesn't matter who you vote for. Your top choice is always going to be at the top, right? So your first pick doesn't make it. That's fine. The next second guy that you voted for gets to go up on the list. That's what we have to do is choice ranked voting. We need to abolish PACs and overturn Citizens United. Those are the first three things that we can do in order to change the election system.
Right.
Right.
And you're right, Brother Coy.
Get rid of the Republican and Democrats.
You're exactly right, Brother Coy. Because it's like as when I came in, right? All your local elections should be nonpartisan. Period. Right from Jump Street, right? And we kind of did the ranked choice voting in Utah, actually in Utah County, right? But the only way that will work is if it is a nonpartisan election, right? You can't do it with partisan, because what's going to end up happening is they will expand the ballot to make it a jungle primary, and they will overload those ballots with their party candidates. Now you're stuck choosing, okay, which one's the better candidate? I got 4 Republicans and 5 Democrats to choose from. It has to be a nonpartisan situation for ranked choice voting to be effective.
Yep.
And I agree with that. You know, you get these politicians and their little talking points, and they're always talking about this nonpartisan. You hear it all the time. This was a nonpartisan agreement. This was a nonpartisan bill. Shouldn't everything be nonpartisan though?
It should be.
It should be, right? Everything, every single decision. Because, you know, the problem with these people is that, someone said it earlier, is that everything they try to pass is based off party.
Yeah.
You know, when it really shouldn't be like that. You know,
It should be based off your
any
constituents.
bill passed, the American people should vote for that bill, especially if it affects us.
No.
I want to read this real quick.
Yeah.
Someone had mentioned that there's a way to relinquish a social security number. I want to show you something real quick. Like I said, they've covered all their bases because it was a planned thing from the get-go. Okay. Ever since you've seen, go back to the advent of this country, you will see the underbelly keep showing up from time to time to take out the centers that don't want what they want. And you'll see them putting into place right after that person's gone, something for them. So every just go back and look at the number of assassination, either attempts or successes, and see what laws were passed either the same year, the next year, or the year after their death. And you look back at their policy, they would have never gone for it. So it was always something they put into place. So this says people cannot generally voluntarily withdraw or stop participating in the Social Security program. You must pay Social Security taxes, regardless of you or your employer's citizenship or place of residence, unless specifically exempt by law. Everyone working in the United States must pay Social Security taxes on earnings from covered employment. The law makes an exemption only in very limited circumstances for members of certain religious sects.
They told you, Marlon. Look, Marlon, they told you how to cancel. But see, you read that, right? Put that back up. Put that back up a second, right? Because now, now we're talking UCC, right? We're talking UCC code now, right? Look at what they just told you. They told you how to cancel it. How do you cancel it?
Become religious.
Y'all take a stab at it. How do you cancel?
I'm gonna become religious and get rid of that.
No,
become Amish.
No. They're telling you right there, right? You're part of a corporation, right?
Just quit.
You're paying money to a corporation, right? You're an employee of the corporation, right? What does that say?
Just quit.
No, but what is it telling you? Right? You must pay Social Security taxes regardless of you or your employer's citizenship or place of residence. Right? Exempt from law, everyone working in the United States must pay Social Security taxes on earnings from covered employment. If you're an entrepreneur, you are not an employee. You hear what I'm saying? Get into the Universal Commercial Code. They're telling you how to cancel your Social Security number or
there's
not
also
pay into Social Security tax.
There's also another. The wording is funny because they're not specifically saying you can't.
Right.
Like the law doesn't say you can't. So like people generally cannot voluntarily withdraw. Right. But then they say unless specifically exempt by law or under religious circumstances. So you can cancel it because they're saying you can't, but you can.
Right.
Like that's the word. They're trying to trick you with the wording. It's like they're saying, oh, you can't do it. Well, is it illegal? No. Can you do it? Can you get exemptions? Yes. Then you can cancel it.
Right. But if you own your own LLC, your own business, those of you on the panel, if you own an LLC or any business, you're not paying Social Security tax.
Right. Because you're your own employee. So
boom. So it's canceled by default. It's canceled.
Right.
It's done.
Or if you're not working,
the taxes on that number.
Yeah.
Right.
So the best thing to do is everyone go out tomorrow and start an LLC.
And put yourself in the LLC. But remember, you can't, your given name, you got to take possession of your given name, but that's another discussion for another day. We can't talk about that here. We'll get canceled.
Give yourself a number. Give yourself a jail number.
We could just start a religious sect that says paying taxes is a mortal sin.
Yeah, it's theft.
And that's why we can't have Social Security numbers.
I'll be the rabbi. I'm cool.
The only way to do it is just rebel, not pay it at all. You know, a lot of people out there making fun of them sovereign citizens, but if you really think about it, they probably had it right.
$200 billion a month.
The majority of sovereign citizens are idiots. Let's just be honest about it.
Yeah, most of
they have the concept, but they're dumb as hell when it comes to
about their approach.
Okay?
And I don't mean that in the I mean that in the scientific sense. They're retarded, not like in the colloquial sense where we're saying they're retarded. I mean scientifically they're retarded.
The concept
is
behind
an oxymoron anyway. How are you sovereign but still a citizen, a subject of thereof the jurisdiction that you're in?
Yeah, the concept of it the concept of it sounds good, but the way they approach it, it's not good. It's dumb.
I'm a free prisoner.
Yeah, we can also do the religion where it's religiously necessary for us to carry weapons all the time. So
right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's part of my religion. Same thing with the taxes.
These are I know
There you
how.
go.
We call all our weapons ghost guns because we're operating in the spirit realm.
Either that, or we could just make it a requirement
That's
to
my
use your
language
tax
right
money to buy guns.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
That's all.
We believe the spirit of our ancestors possessed our firearms, and therefore, to keep in line with our ancestors' will, we have to carry them on us at all time, and we have to use
guns
we save from Social Security to pay for those.
That's right.
And
See, if there was a gun tax that gave me a gun every Christmas, I would pay that happily.
No tax on it at all. You can't tax them. That doesn't. It's a
That's
ghost
our
gun.
tithe, right? We have to pay our tithe, which would have been Social Security, to our guns.
Wow.
I think Coy has had time to think this one out a little too much.
Sorry.
This is boredom right here.
Hey, look, listen. They're talking about assault, right? Remember, they're talking about assault rifles, right? I mean, look, if these guns are jumping up and assaulting people, we need to tax them.
That's right.
That's right.
Real talk. Let's go. Like,
it's also a non-profit because we rescue guns that need homes from people that no longer.
I mean, the guns that may be in my house. I mean, shouldn't they pay a property tax too?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they're living here. They need to contribute. You know,
they need to pay. Hey, they need to pay rent in that safe I got them in. You heard?
That's right.
All of these violent guns need to be reformed. So we're going to start a non-profit to help these guns be reformed into nice guns that no longer shoot anymore.
Like an AA meeting, assault AR meetings, assault rifle meetings.
Hi, my name is
Anonymous.
AR, and
is it AR Anonymous?
Yeah, AR is Anonymous.
AR is Anonymous. I got my 3-round chip today.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways.
That would give a whole new meaning for having your annual shot. I'll tell you that
one. On this round of shots, you're getting your 5.56 today. So, how do you feel about getting a 5.56 as opposed to your 2.23 checkup?
Oh, it looks like your chamber's a little dirty. Let's get in there and get it out for you. Put a little bit of the seal.
50 cal. You have 50 cal. Here you go.
Oh my god.
There you go.
Don't forget, people.
All the weapons should have names too. Make sure you name them.
They do have names.
Yeah.
You need that retirement check when you gotta.
They're my dependents. They're my dependents right now.
You gotta claim them on the taxes.
I'm done.
Since they're an assault, they have.
Well, maybe this is the way we do it.Maybe this is the we're talking. It might be in jest, but
it's true.
It might be the way to do it.
It's also constitutional because the right to keep and bear arms is necessary for the security of a free state.
There's going to be a Me Too movement for ARs.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
You're muted, sir.
You're
muted,
your
microphone's undone.
I could have swore I read somewhere
your
where
microphone
it said,
where it
said every man should own a weapon, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they used to do? Didn't it say that somewhere?
There's a state that requires you, not a state, or I think it's a county or something that requires you to own a weapon.
It
requires you in order to live there. You have to own something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's the city of Kennesaw in
Kennesaw,
Georgia.
I knew it was somewhere.
And there's already a religion that is like that. The Sikh religion requires you to carry a ceremonial dagger.
Yep, that is correct.
Exactly. Yeah, the Sikhs are the ones with the turban.
Can you have a gun attached to that knife?
Oh,
ever heard of? Hey, yo, Marlon, do you remember the game Final Fantasy VIII?
Yeah,
Gunblade.
A gunblade. Yeah, we can have a gunblade. Yeah.
Yeah, but if Sikhs are allowed to carry a dagger in their religion, maybe we should create a religion because that's allowed to where we say we have to carry ARs, like for real, like you're required in this religion.
So you wouldn't even have to do that, right? Let's don't even go there, right? We have state constitutions, right? Right?
Yeah.
Watch this. Article 13 of the South Carolina Constitution denotes who the militia is. If you got a moment, read Article 13 of the South Carolina Constitution, right? right? Section 1 tells you who the militia is. We could get that put in every single state constitution. All those gun laws that we're talking about that they're trying to pass will be null and void because, according to the South Carolina Constitution, every able-bodied person between the ages of 18 and 45 is the militia.
That's not the first time in history they've tried doing the gun blade.
Don't do this. Why you do that? A mini bayonet. Why you do that?
I like that. And when I'm done, I can just get some chicken. And I can cut it up while I'm doing it, man. That's
look. This is what you need right here. It's the gun axe.
I got something that looks like that.
Oh, sign me up. Oh my God, that's beautiful.
That's amazing.
I got my battle axe.
That is beautiful.
Coy has
one. And then you have this monstrosity right here.
In Washington State, that would be illegal.
Yeah.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Which is unfortunate. Which is why I'm trying to make my normal hands like brass knuckles. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Just carry a roll of quarters with you, man. That's like the Jewish brass.
I guess it's like a
no, he didn't.
Jewish brass knuckles.
He's right though. Fat Jew's right.
I'm just saying.
He's right.
Usually it's a roll of pennies though, because we don't like to sacrifice quarters. But anyway,
that's entitled money right there.
Right.
But with all silliness aside, people, and it's pretty hard to pull it aside because if you don't laugh, you'll end up crying. We are kind of at not an impasse and not a stalemate. I'll take back that word that I used earlier. We are at a crossroads. That's where we're at. We're at a crossroads. Yeah. And it's definitely two paths, and one is complying and one is not. Here, I'm going to lay down what each will yield you. If you comply from this point on, you are sacrificing everything you thought America was. And if you don't comply, you will experience everything that America is now. And you have to be okay with accepting that they might just put you 6 foot under for rebelling. But they'll still put you 6 foot under just slower if you comply.
Yeah.
So it's a slow one or a quick one. Either one, you might die with a little more dignity under your belt than the other way around.
You should know that the justice system isn't fair to begin with, because look at Baldwin shooting that cinematographer and basically getting around scot-free, and Enrique Tarrio is getting 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
What are the crossroads, Marlon? What did you say? The crossroads? Did you say where we're at? Okay.
It's death either way, but death with dignity versus death with slavery.
Right.
Well, go back and watch Braveheart. There was a very famous motivational speech that he gave there. When you're looking at generations and you're visualizing generations, ahead 10, 3, 4, 5 generations. Where do you see that generation? You know what I mean? Do you want them to be in the America that we knew, or what they're creating, and which one is better? So, as we're navigating through this place called the United States, think about generations. That's what I do. I think about my sons, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, my great-great-great-grandkids. I'm thinking about generations. People, that's crazy. Everything we do in life is thinking about generations. You just don't say it. You just don't think about it like that.
Right.
So think about that. Where do you want this country? Do you want your kids to have kids? You want your bloodline to keep going for generations to come? And they can look back 10 generations later and see a picture of you saying, bro, Michael, that's my great-great-great-great-grandfather. He stood for something. That's how you should look at yourself. Stand for something.
Right.
Sometimes you got to go through pain. I've been there, done that. Got to go through it. Go through that pain. And sometimes we have to pay the ultimate sacrifice. It is what it is with me. Been there, done that. So think about that. Think about your kids. Think about all those generations after you, because a lot of us are getting older, man. We're not getting any younger.
Marlon, you're muted.
Yeah, no, I want to do this as a closer, because I know if it gets deleted, I can take it off on the tail end. I'm going to play something here, and it is, I think, quite apropos to what we're discussing here. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Okay. This is from The Patriot, okay? Okay, so just listen.
Of an American nation, and our rights are being threatened by a tyrant 3,000 miles away.
Would you tell me, please, Mr. Howard, why should I trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away? An elected legislature can trample a man's rights as easily as a king can. Captain Martin.
Yep.
I just thought we should be aware of that. That
That's where we are.
that's where we are.
Yeah, that is where we are.
That's where we are. We traded the 3,000 miles for 3,000 talking heads.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
3-letter organizations.
Yeah, that's
popping up every day.
Trampling on your rights in your head. Every
3-letter
single day.
organizations might as well call them the Bolsheviks.
How much time you got left, Marlon?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Watch this. Should Biden be impeached? Yes or no?
Yes.
100%.
Am I the only no on the panel?
Yes.
I guess so.
Oh my
Well,
God.
honestly, I don't want
I
it to
am
happen
saying
because I'm
yes
afraid of what'll come after him. But
I am
Right.
saying yes only because I can't do the alternative.
On principle, he should be impeached. Yes.
So here's my thing, right? And I know we got a few minutes left, right? I say no because cutting off the head of the state does not stop the regulatory state from rolling and creating regulations to govern our lives every day. That stops nothing. That does nothing.
Right.
We impeach the cabinet, the rule-making power that dictates our lives. We impeach the Mayorkases. We impeach the Deb Hollands. We impeach the woman that sat right there in that committee meeting and say, yeah, we're trafficking kids in the United States. You impeach them people. You don't touch the president. You take away the regulatory state, that's less rules they make upon us, the people that become law. I mean, when you can, with a stroke of a pen, create a rule that brings on criminal penalty, that president don't matter. That guy up there does not matter, period.
I don't want him gone for what he's doing in government necessarily. I want him gone for the kind of horrible human being he is.
Fair. That's fair.
Okay. And so even if I do get rid of him, it doesn't stop me from getting rid of them too. I want to get rid of all of them.
Anybody that's been in government for 10 years needs to go.
The question is, whether he should be impeached. I completely agree that he needs to, and everyone he ever brought in with his regime, all of them needs to be gone. 90% of Congress needs to be gone. Nearly all of the Senate needs to be gone. They all need to be removed. And I think every last division, the CIA, the FBI, IRS, every last one of them needs to be disbanded and removed.
No need.
And we start this thing the way it should have been from the beginning. Plain.
Exactly.
Plain
And if that agency and executive branch does not fall under the enumerated powers granted to them by the Constitution, it needs to be gone. Period.
And the one thing, I know we got to get ready to go, but the one thing the American people listening need to know, the American people truly have the power. We've been trained to think that we don't have any power because we hand it over to a bunch of suits. You don't hand over your power as a citizen. Understand that power is still yours. But over time, we've got so used to these people making decisions.
Yeah, we're afraid to use it. We're afraid to use it because
the American people are afraid to use it.
To stand up, just 10%. That's it.
So the minute you get that in your head is that you have the power. We have the power of the power. The book, the pocketbook, right? The power is in the money. The minute we start abiding by anything that deals with our money, man, no, we're not paying that. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. It's going to start to affect them.
Watch this, brother.
We have the power.
Watch this, brother, bro, right? Look at what just happened in Green Charter Township, Michigan. They literally took their whole city council out on a recall vote because they did something the citizens didn't want to do. They're like, no, we're not doing this. Watch this. We got you. All of them gone. Woo, peace. All y'all gone. Recall vote. All y'all gone.
And
peace.
Another reason
That's how we should be.
You should really think about this is like, think back to 2020 and the riots and the autonomy, right?
Yeah.
They did nothing. Not a thing. Because they wanted it to happen for one. But it showed that the people could do it.
Right.
In the United States.
Possible. Yeah. It is possible.
Yeah. But I think when we'll have more, we can go into greater detail of it too when we discuss, because it will come up when we talk about the Israel-Palestine thing on Saturday. It plays a part in it because it was a global plan that got implemented in various countries and in city states, and it is now coming to a head. So, I mean, we'll have to end up talking about how all this came to be to begin with, because the UN did have a say in how things are breaking down now between Palestine and Israel. So, in some ways, I think it was carried on by mankind that wanted to see the bloodshed happen. So, and I know America had a big part to play in that. So we'll discuss all of that on Saturday. Friday, I want to discuss this beating that took place of the young boy and the other young boys, or possibly females in that group. And not so much to talk about it from the race perspective, but it is pretty much the reason why it's not getting coverage, but more so along the social aspect of what we're allowing children to become. So
groups of
hey, Biden was right. This cadre of young people running the streets, ready to hit your mother, my son, your daughter over the head. They must be taken off the streets. So we're gonna talk about it Friday.
Did that age well or not well?
I don't know. Well, it ages exactly the way
It
he
jumped the
wants
generation. Actually,
I'd tell you
it jumped 2 generations.
The worst aging of anything Biden said was when he's talking about the amount of crack that you can't get away with. Meanwhile, somebody sniffing the carpets for Parmesan cheese. But anyway,
Well, if you call it cheese, it's not
Parmesan.
drums.
It's smoked Parmesan. Get it right. Smoked Parmesan. It wasn't regular.
Hey, bro, you're
oh,
a chef.
that's right.
Does smoked Parmesan taste pretty good?
I don't know,
Yeah,
bro.
it's just smoke.
Ask Hunter.
Yeah, there you go. That's why Hunter likes it, because it's smoked Parmesan. I mean,
It's just smoke.
who's gonna
looking in the
refuse
carpet.
smoked Parmesan?
Hey, you can look. Considering that, watch this. Considering that his father grew up in a Puerto Rican community somewhere around the world while he marched,
Raised by the black church.
right. By
I'll never forget
default,
that.
right. By default, Cici Puede. You know what I'm saying? Hunter likes the brown stuff. You hear what I'm saying, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cocaine, Parmesan, Puerto Rican grew up. I'm just saying, there's something going on there that we don't know about, but there's a connection. I'm just saying.
Biden is one of the most culturally advanced persons ever. He has grown up in every community, everywhere at the same time.
Yeah,
He was top of the bottom of his class.
Yes. The top half is the bottom, lower fourth.
Wait, you got to mute that part. Top and the bottom.
Top and the bottom.
He plays both roles.
He played.
I'm glad you brought up, because I can't stop thinking about it. At that time, it was Biden who played Despacito, right?
Yeah.
He got on the mic, he was like he was doing something.
Yeah.
I got hot sauce in my purse.
Wow.
Oh my God, these people are so out of touch.
Why you go there? Why you go? What really? Hot sauce? Really?
I ain't in no ways tired.
No ways.
Man alive. Anyway, we're gonna catch you guys on Friday. And
What's
then,
going on
of
right
course, on Saturday for
fun.
our Rumble event. Do not miss the Rumble event. The Rumble event will be one of the biggest ones I think we've had so far, outside of the trafficking one we did some time ago. But I think this one will end up being the biggest of them. So you don't want to miss that one, because we'll have some information that you don't hear on the news media. So don't miss out. We'll see you guys Friday. Mr. Lee.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you Friday.
Peace. We out.